Hi, you're watching Velo News TV. I'm Neil Rogers on location in Girona, Spain. I'm with Garmin Chipotle rider Trent Lowe. Trent, first of all, thanks for meeting with us, giving us a little bit of your time. This is our first time in Girona, and this is where your team is based. You live in Spain, but you don't live in Girona. Talk a little bit about having a team based here and your home in Valencia and how you chose Valencia.
Yeah, I chose Valencia because I had a teammate there a couple of years ago, and he said it was pretty good down there. I was living in Italy at the time, and he offered, the weather was a bit dodgy there, so he said, "I'll come down and check it out for a bit." And I went down and checked it out, and we did some training and liked it there, and sort of worked out that's probably where I wanted to be. And I was committed to live in Italy that year, so then it was the following year that I went back.
And you were living in Italy. That was with the Australian Institute of Sport is right there as well. Sorry, where and what city was that?
It's in a city called Varese, which is just outside of Milan, just a bit north.
Yeah. And who was the teammate that was in Valencia? Was that Matt White?
That was Matt White, correct.
Yeah, who's now one of the directors of Garmin Chipotle, and actually he's here in Girona now. Is that right?
Yeah, he's moved up here this year to sort of oversee things with the team.
Well, whatever you're doing, must be doing it right. Your 2008 season has been amazing. I mean, I think at Velo News we feel like we've sort of had our eye on you for a long time, ever since you beat Scott Moninger at the Sunshine Hill climb, your first year in the States, and watching you race for Subaru Gary Fisher and then move on to the Discovery Channel team. This year, a lot of these races, it was your first year, I'm thinking, or first time doing these events. I'm thinking of races like Paris-Nice, Criterium International, Tour Med. You're top 15, top 20, top guy on the Slipstream now Garmin team. Everything just seems to have come together for you this year, leading into your selection for the Tour de France team. Talk about your 2008 season and up to this point. What has it been? If you could put your finger on any one thing, is it coaching, training? Is it where you're living? Is it the team? And what is it that's made this such a good year for you?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Like, it's a progression as well, and an age thing. The last couple of years I've got a good solid base under me, I think, with Discovery, and we just did a lot of hard racing and sort of learnt from guys that were older and more experienced, and it really laid a good foundation. And this year I've sort of had the chances to go out and had some guys that'll work for me, and I've had a really good race program that just sort of led from one race to the next, and I could just fine-tune my condition in between. Matt White's also my trainer, so he's done a very good job, like, with my race program and with my training in between. So we've really seemed to nail that down. It's just sort of small adjustments we can make in between the races, because we have got the right program and we're going to the good races. It allows us to do that. So I think a combination of things, and this team's been really good for me also. I've got some fantastic staff to work with, some guys that have some different and new ideas that sort of, I think those things sort of start to add up. If they start taking the 1% things that they are, that they sort of accumulate.
We saw you at the Tour de Georgia wear the yellow jersey and finish second overall. Tell us a little bit about the racing you've done since we last saw you racing in the U.S.
I guess since then it's more been preparation for the Tour de France. I've never ridden a 3-week race, so we had to start taking things a bit different for that part of the season. I took a short rest after Georgia and just started building with some base kilometres, a bit of time at altitude, and came back to back to Europe rather, for the Tour of Catalonia. Just rode through that for training, and then just kept training after that pretty much, and had a couple of races one in Portugal and then one straight in France, and pretty much we're here now.
That's right. I remember when we spoke at the Tour de Georgia, you already had been informed that you would be racing the Tour de France. I remember Christian Vandeveld saying, originally there was some thought of sending you to the Giro, and you were just going so well that Christian said, "Hey, man, don't even send this kid. I mean, you haven't yet done a Grand Tour," and said, "Don't even send him to the Giro, send him to the Tour de France." Talk a little bit, and Jonathan Vaughters has said, I think Trent Lowe has a very good chance of taking the Best Young Riders jersey at the Tour. Talk a little bit about your feeling heading into the Tour. It's 5 days away, your first Grand Tour, possible hopes, I don't want to use the word expectations, but possibilities that you could find yourself competing for the white jersey.
Yeah, and I'm not thinking about that at all, and I'm under no illusion that that's going to happen and it's going to be easy. I mean, we've spent a lot of time preparing for 3 weeks. It's taken me a lot of, I use enough energy getting your head around it. It's new. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how I react after 10 days of racing. So the second half of the race is a mystery, But I feel I've worked hard as well. So hopefully we've managed to, put myself in as good a condition as possible. I did know early, so the earlier you do know, the better you can prepare, I feel. It's the Tour de France. I don't really know. I haven't been there before. It's different to every other bike race you do all year, from what I understand. So we just have to take it as it comes, and each day at a time. And if we focus sort of on the process, then we'll see what the outcome is.
By my calculations, 5 guys on the Garmin Chipotle tour team have not yet done the tour. 4 have. Have you talked to Jonathan with the other guys about leadership versus inexperience, or what it's going to be like on the team? Are you getting a lot of suggestions, a lot of feedback, guys? Whether it's from Jonathan or Dave Miller, or whether it's from Christian Vandevelde or even Matt White, guys who have done the tour. Are you asking them for any suggestions or input, or is it just going to be a day-to-day type of thing?
Well, you're always asking for what's it like and how should I prepare. Matt White's been a fantastic help with that, because he's a pro for 10 years and has ridden the tour, and he's ridden all the Grand Tours, so he knows how they're different and how to prepare as well as possible. And obviously, guys like Christian and Miller have a good idea of it as well, obviously, because they've done it so much, and they're sort of very handy to have on the road, and you really draw on their experience when you're out there racing. It's going to be the same at the Tour as it is with the other races, I imagine. For sure, you're always trying to find out as much information and what it's like as possible, just to, just for your head and your own peace of mind.
Any particular individual goals heading into the tours? Obviously, you're wisely deflecting any sort of best young rider, white jersey pressure, but is there anything? Are you looking at any particular stages? Is it just finishing in Paris, trying to help Christian do a top 10? Is there anything you go into the tour thinking this is what I'd like to come out of the tour with?
Yeah, I guess to get to Paris would be a goal, the main goal, and then what comes and what happens on the road. What this sport's like, it changes so quickly, and so do your objectives. So I think you just have to take it like that, and maybe anything can happen, whether it's helping Christian to be in the top 10 or whatever, if we can get in a breakaway later in the race or something like that. But we'll take that as it comes, and hopefully I can get to Paris.
Sure. One last question. Talk a little bit about what your 2008 season looks like after the tour, if you have anything planned, and how doing your first Grand Tour may or may not affect the rest of the season.
Yeah, and for sure that it will affect the rest of the season. I think, I'd like to get out to America, and there's a couple of races I can do out there and just kick it for a little bit, and then come back to Europe for sort of September and do. There's a stage race, a Tour of Britain I might do, and then maybe World Championships, and then probably head back to Australia. But it's all pretty pending, and we're sort of thinking up until the end of July before we take those steps and make those plans.
Well, our American viewers, I think their ears probably just perked up a little bit. So I'm thinking maybe you're talking Colorado, you're talking Utah, sort of a high-altitude stage race.
Yeah, there's one in Colorado about 3 weeks after the tour at this stage. It looks like I'll probably be doing that. And it gives me a little bit of time to rest and sort of get going again after that and clear my head, hopefully. And then, we'll think about going back to Europe and see what we can make of it there.
I can say that everyone at Velo News, and I think a lot of our readers and viewers who have been following you ever since your World Junior Mountain Bike Championship are really excited to see you at the tour, and just pretty thrilled with your 2008 season thus far. So congratulations, and we look forward to seeing what you do at 3 weeks on the road in France.
Well, thanks. Thank you.